You don't become a millionaire by chasing money. You become a millionaire by becoming the kind of person who attracts wealth, who commands value, who creates more than they consume, who refuses to stay broke mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Wealth is not a number. It's a mirror, a reflection of your standards, of your identity, of the rules you play by when no one's watching. Because the money in your bank account is not the cause, it's the effect, the result of who you are when it's hard, when it's quiet, when you have every excuse to be average and you choose to rise instead. You see, average people wait to be rescued. Millionaires build the boat, sail the ocean, and chart the map for others. They don't wish, they decide. And that decision starts here. Not with business plans or bank loans, but with mindset warfare, the internal rebellion against the version of you that settles. Because you will never out-earn your inner dialogue. You will never rise financially beyond what you believe you're worth. And if you see money as scarce, evil, or for them, then no matter how hard you grind, your subconscious will sabotage every opportunity that knocks. So the first step is not tactical, it's spiritual. It's about burning every belief that says, I'm not ready, I'm not enough. Money isn't for people like me, because those aren't just thoughts, they're chains. Invisible ropes tying you to mediocrity, to doubt, to a destiny that's smaller than your potential. And until you cut those ropes, you'll keep circling the same level, wondering why success feels just out of reach. But today, we make the cut. Today, we declare that wealth is not a reward for the lucky. It's the inheritance of the intentional. It belongs to those who claim it, who become it, who are willing to rebuild their mind from the ground up, installing the beliefs, habits, and identity of a millionaire before the money ever arrives. Because that's the paradox. You don't get rich and then think like a millionaire. You think like a millionaire, and then wealth follows. That's what Napoleon Hill meant when he said, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." Not someday, not after the diploma, not after the applause. Now, right now, in this moment, when you decide to stop thinking like the person who's struggling and start thinking like the person who succeeded already. You hold your posture differently. You speak your goals with authority. You no longer shrink when you talk about money. You study it. You learn the rules. You master the game. Because this is not about wishing for millions. This is about wiring yourself to produce them. From belief to behavior, from mindset to momentum, from discipline to direction. You want to know how to become a millionaire? Start by becoming the kind of person who no longer negotiates with excuses. The kind of person who doesn't chase comfort because comfort never made anyone rich. The kind of person who doesn't need motivation because their standards are louder than their feelings. This is the battlefield. And it's not out there. It's not the market. It's not the competition. It's not your background, your city, your education. The real war is within. And the moment you win that war, the world must adjust. It has no choice but to reflect the force of someone who decided that wealth is no longer optional. Someone who is done with surviving. Someone who demands to build, grow, and leave a legacy so loud it echoes after they're gone. This is more than money. It's about becoming unrecognizable to your former self. It's about rising so high, even your old limits can't reach you. So today, we begin, not with a tactic, but with a transformation. Now that the fire is lit, let's give it direction. Because fire without focus burns out, and energy without clarity, that's chaos disguised as productivity. See, most people don't fail because they're lazy. They fail because they're lost. They're busy, they're tired, they're grinding, but they have no vision. They're rowing with everything they've got, but the boat is pointed in the wrong direction. Clarity isn't optional on the path to millions. It is the compass, the filter, the force field that protects your time, your energy, and your sanity from the 1,000 distractions designed to pull you back into smallness. You can't build an empire with a foggy blueprint. You can't create generational wealth without knowing exactly what the hell you're building. So let's get crystal clear. Ask yourself, what do I actually want? Not what your parents want, not what society rewards, not what looks good on Instagram. What do you want? What would make your soul expand? What does success feel like, smell like, look like when you wake up in it? And more importantly, who do you have to become to deserve it? Because clarity without character is a wish list, but clarity fused with identity, that's how revolutions are born. Napoleon Hill wrote, "Definiteness of purpose is the starting point of all achievement." Not passion, not excitement, definiteness, precision, focus, an unshakable, non-negotiable knowing of where you are going. And once you get that, everything changes. Your energy calibrates, your habits align, your circle tightens, and your standards skyrocket. Suddenly, you're no longer available for small talk, cheap distractions, or broke mindsets. You begin to walk differently, talk differently, move differently, because you've tasted the vision of who you're becoming. And once you've seen the summit, you can't unsee it. You can't go back to the valley and pretend you belong there. Gravity pulls you forward. You don't have to push yourself when your why is real enough. Millionaires aren't more talented. They're just more targeted. They know what matters, and they eliminate what doesn't. So ask yourself, what's the one goal that, if achieved, would change everything? What's the one skill that, if mastered, would make you unstoppable? What's the one belief you need to let go of right now to rise to your next level? Answer those questions with brutal honesty, because wealth doesn't live in confusion. It lives in conviction. That's how the greats did it. Henry Ford didn't build cars. He built a system to deliver freedom through mobility. Walt Disney didn't build a theme park. He built an empire of imagination. And what about Andrew Carnegie? He didn't just make money. He made impact by mastering the game of leverage and legacy. They weren't guessing. They weren't dabbling. They had clarity so sharp it cut through fear. That's what you need. Not more time, not more talent, just clarity. Because once you lock in on your vision, you stop asking, "Can I do this?" and start asking, "What would the future version of me do next?" Then you do exactly that, over and over again. You wake up and move like it's already yours. You align every decision, every breath, every hour around that one vision. You become magnetic. You become lethal. You become inevitable. And the world moves out of your way, because it always does for the one who knows exactly where they're going. Ready for the next section? Once clarity takes root, vision becomes inevitable. And vision
is the architecture of your future. It is the inner movie that plays in your mind, not once, not twice, but relentlessly until the world has no choice but to catch up to the frequency you're vibrating on. See, every self-made millionaire started with a vision so vivid, so emotionally charged that it outshined their circumstances. It blinded their excuses. It screamed louder than their fears. When Napoleon Hill studied the world's greatest wealth builders, Carnegie, Rockefeller, Ford, Edison, he discovered something extraordinary. They didn't start with a perfect plan. They started with an unshakable inner picture of what they were going to build, and they refused to let the world edit that picture. They didn't need evidence.
Now that purpose is burning in your chest like a second heartbeat. It's time to do what most never will. Commit. Not for a week, not for a season, not until it gets hard. Commit like your life depends on it, because it does. And that commitment is discipline. Not motivation, not hype, not the mood you're in after watching a video like this one. Discipline is what's left when the fire dies down and the world goes silent. It's the bridge between the millionaire you imagine and the reality you wake up in. Every great builder, Ford, Carnegie, Edison, Bezos, Jobs, Oprah, every single one of them was addicted to discipline. Because here's the truth no one tells you. Success is not one big decision. It is thousands of tiny ones, repeated, daily, in the dark. Discipline is what shows up when no one's watching. It's the decision to master your morning instead of scrolling your phone. It's the choice to write the extra email, read the extra chapter, make the extra call when no one's keeping score but you. Millionaires don't get lucky. They get methodical. They don't chase feelings. They chase systems. They don't rely on motivation. They become machinery. Think about it. The world's greatest wealth isn't built from genius. It's built from rituals. Routines so ingrained they turn chaos into clarity. Wake up early. Plan your day. Track your actions. Guard your mind. Fuel your body. Build your skills. Protect your energy. Review your results. Repeat. Every single day. Even when you're tired. Especially when you're tired. Because that's when average people fold and disciplined people rise. Discipline is self-respect in action. It's how you tell the world, I am not available for anything less than greatness. But here's the secret. Discipline is not about being rigid. It's about being aligned. When your habits match your vision, when your calendar reflects your purpose, when your actions whisper, I already believe I'm a millionaire, then time starts bending in your favor. Opportunities appear. People notice. Doors open. Not because the universe likes you better, but because discipline made you ready. You stop fumbling blessings. You stop praying for what you're not prepared to hold. You stop hoping success will land in your lap. Instead, you become the vessel that success fits into. And yes, it will be boring sometimes. Yes, it will hurt. Yes, your old self will scream for comfort, for excuses, for just one day off. But that's the test. That's the war. That's the moment when you either go back to average or you upgrade your identity. Because discipline isn't about being rigid. It's about being aligned. When your habits match your vision, when your calendar reflects your purpose, when your actions whisper, I already believe I'm a millionaire, then time starts bending in your favor. Opportunities appear. People notice. Doors open. Not because the universe likes you better, but because discipline made you ready. You stop fumbling blessings. You stop praying for what you're not prepared to hold. You stop hoping success will land in your lap. Instead, you become the vessel that success fits into. And yes, it will be boring sometimes.
Yes, it will hurt. Yes, your old self will scream for comfort, for excuses, for just one day off. But that's the test. That's the war. That's the moment when you either go back to average or you upgrade your identity. Because discipline isn't about being rigid. It's about being aligned. When your habits match your vision, when your calendar reflects your purpose, when your actions whisper, "I already believe I'm a millionaire," then time starts bending in your favor. Opportunities appear. People notice. Doors open. Not because the universe likes you better, but because discipline made you ready. You stop fumbling blessings. You stop praying for what you're not prepared to hold. You stop hoping success will land in your lap. Instead, you become the vessel that success fits into. And yes, it will be boring sometimes. Yes, it will hurt. Yes, your old self will scream for comfort, for excuses, for just one day off. But that's the test. That's the war. That's the moment when you either go back to average or you upgrade your identity. Because discipline isn't about being rigid. It's about being aligned. When your habits match your vision, when your calendar reflects your purpose, when your actions whisper, "I already believe I'm a millionaire," then time starts bending in your favor. Opportunities appear. People notice. Doors open. Not because the universe likes you better, but because discipline made you ready. You stop fumbling blessings. You stop praying for what you're not prepared to hold. You stop hoping success will land in your lap. Instead, you become the vessel that success fits into. And yes, it will be boring sometimes. Yes, it will hurt. Yes, your old self will scream for comfort, for excuses, for just one day off. But that's the test. That's the war. That's the moment when you either go back to average or you upgrade your identity. Because discipline isn't about being rigid. It's about being aligned. When your habits match your vision, when your calendar reflects your purpose, when your actions whisper, "I already believe I'm a millionaire," then time starts bending in your favor. Opportunities appear. People notice. Doors open. Not because the universe likes you better, but because discipline made you ready. You stop fumbling blessings. You stop praying for what you're not prepared to hold. You stop hoping success will land in your lap. Instead, you become the vessel that success fits into. And yes, it will be boring sometimes. Yes, it will hurt. Yes, your old self will scream for comfort, for excuses, for just one day off. But that's the test. That's the war. That's the moment when you either go back to average or you upgrade your identity. Because discipline isn't about being rigid. It's about being aligned. When your habits match your vision, when your calendar reflects your purpose, when your actions whisper, "I already believe I'm a millionaire," then time starts bending in your favor. Opportunities appear. People notice. Doors open. Not because the universe likes you better, but because discipline made you ready. You stop fumbling blessings. You stop praying for what you're not prepared to hold. You stop hoping success will land in your lap. Instead, you become the vessel that success fits into. And yes, it will be boring sometimes. Yes, it will hurt. Yes, your old self will scream for comfort, for excuses, for just one day off. But that's the test. That's the war. That's the moment when you either go back to average or you upgrade your identity. Because discipline isn't about being rigid. It's about being aligned. When your habits match your vision, when your calendar reflects your purpose, when your actions whisper, "I already believe I'm a millionaire," then time starts bending in your favor. Opportunities appear. People notice. Doors open. Not because the universe likes you better, but because discipline made you ready. You stop fumbling blessings. You stop praying for what you're not prepared to hold. You stop hoping success will land in your lap. Instead, you become the vessel that success fits into. And yes, it will be boring sometimes. Yes, it will hurt. Yes, your old self will scream for comfort, for excuses, for just one day off. But that's the test. That's the war. That's the moment when you either go back to average or you upgrade your identity. Because discipline isn't about being rigid. It's about being aligned. When your habits match your vision, when your calendar reflects your purpose, when your actions whisper, "I already believe I'm a millionaire," then time starts bending in your favor. Opportunities appear, people notice, doors open. Not because the universe likes you better, but because discipline made you ready. You stop fumbling blessings. You stop praying for what you're not prepared to hold. You stop hoping success will land in your lap. Instead, you become the vessel that success fits into. And yes, it will be boring sometimes. Yes, it will hurt. Yes, your old self will scream for comfort, for excuses, for just one day off. But that's the test. That's the war. That's the moment when you either go back to average or you upgrade your identity. Because discipline isn't about being rigid. It's about being aligned. When your habits match your vision, when your calendar reflects your purpose, when your actions whisper, "I already believe I'm a millionaire," then time starts bending in your favor. Opportunities appear, people notice, doors open. Not because the universe likes you better, but because discipline.
Now we arrive at one of the most overlooked, misunderstood, and underutilized traits in the millionaire's arsenal: learning. Not school, not degrees, not memorized information regurgitated for a system that rewards obedience over brilliance. Real learning. The kind that stretches you, challenges you, rebuilds you from the inside out. Because here's what the wealthy know that the average never figure out. Money flows to the mind that evolves fastest. Every next level of your life requires a next level of you, and that version is built through knowledge. Self-education is not optional. It is the gateway, the bridge, the invisible scaffolding holding up every million-dollar empire you admire. Read the biographies, study the titans, trace their steps. Every single one was a relentless learner. Warren Buffett, he reads 5 to 6 hours a day. Charlie Munger calls lifelong learning the greatest competitive advantage. Carnegie surrounded himself with thinkers. Ford was obsessed with applied knowledge. Elon Musk taught himself rocket science. Because the one who controls the mind controls the market. And yet most people stop learning the moment they leave school. They let life teach them through trial and trauma instead of wisdom and study. They scroll more than they study. They entertain more than they educate. And then they wonder why the doors never open. But you're not here to be average. You're here to be elite. So here's the code. Become a student of success. Not once, not sometimes, every day. Wake up and feed your mind before the world feeds it noise. Audit your inputs. Upgrade your environment. Study what others ignore. Read the books, not for information, for transformation. Listen to the masters, not for quotes, but for blueprints. Study marketing. Learn human behavior. Understand psychology. Master influence. Decode money. Break down wealth creation models. Why? Because knowledge is leverage, and leverage is how millionaires scale what others can't even start. When you learn something others don't know, you become valuable. And when you act on that knowledge consistently, you become wealthy. But here's the key. Learning is not hoarding. It's applying. Don't just read, implement. Don't just consume, create. Millionaires don't sit on ideas, they execute them. They don't drown in information, they weaponize it.
Because true knowledge isn't power. Applied knowledge is power. So build your own curriculum. Make every day a classroom. Treat every mistake as a lesson, every book as a mentor, every failure as a textbook in disguise. When you hit a wall, don't just get frustrated. Ask, what don't I know yet that would make this easy? Because most of your obstacles aren't real. They're just gaps in understanding. And every time you fill one of those gaps, you grow, you upgrade, you elevate. The millionaire version of you, they're already learning, already studying, already surrounded by voices that sharpen them. You need to catch up. Because success doesn't wait for the ignorant. It rewards the intentional. So don't let another day pass feeding your body and starving your mind. Don't let another month drift by while your knowledge bank remains empty. Don't expect million-dollar opportunities if you've done $10 thinking. Feed your mind. Obsess over mastery. Never stop learning. And never forget, the wealthiest people in the world didn't just find answers. They became the kind of person who kept asking better questions.
Success is not an event. It's a process, a series of small, consistent actions repeated day after day. Millionaires don't rely on motivation. They rely on habits. Because motivation fades, habits endure. The millionaire's life is built on routines that compound over time, turning discipline into results and effort into empire. Wake up early. Prioritize your highest impact tasks. Guard your time fiercely. They don't get distracted by trivialities. They eliminate noise. They focus relentlessly on what moves the needle. Exercise fuels their energy. Meditation sharpens their mind. Reading expands their vision. They track their progress, set clear goals, reflect, and adjust constantly. Failures don't stop them. They adapt and push harder. They automate decisions to save mental energy. They delegate what's not their unique genius, and they celebrate small wins, knowing momentum is built one victory at a time. The habits you cultivate today write the story of your tomorrow. What you do daily determines the millionaire you become. Will you rise with purpose or drift through distractions? Will you feed your mind and body with excellence or surrender to comfort and complacency? The choice is yours. But remember, success is not about perfection. It's about persistence. One more page read, one more call made, one more idea tested. Your habits are the architecture of your future wealth. Build them wisely. Mindset mastery. Wealth begins in the mind. Before the first dollar is earned, before the first deal is closed, before the empire takes shape, everything starts with your beliefs. Millionaires cultivate a mindset built on certainty and possibility. They reject doubt. They crush limiting beliefs. They rewire their inner dialogue to fuel growth. Because your mind is either your greatest ally or your worst enemy. What stories do you tell yourself? I'm not good enough? It's too risky? I don't have what it takes? Those are the chains that keep most people trapped. But millionaires replace those chains with conviction. They say, I am capable. I learn from risk. I grow through challenge. They visualize success daily. They affirm their purpose. They practice gratitude for the progress made. They master emotional control. Fear? It doesn't paralyze them, it propels them. Failure? It's feedback, not final. Rejection? It's redirection, not rejection of self. The millionaire mindset also embraces responsibility. They own their choices, their results, their future. No blaming, no excuses. Just relentless ownership. Because the moment you take full responsibility, you regain control. And with control comes power. Power to create, power to persist, power to become the person worthy of wealth. So ask yourself, what mindset are you nurturing today? Is it one that empowers or disables? Is it one that builds bridges or walls? Your thoughts shape your reality. Master your mindset and watch how the world reshapes itself around your vision. Leveraging innovation and technology. In the race to wealth, the future belongs to the agile. Millionaires don't fear change, they chase it. Because the world moves fast, markets shift, new technologies emerge, opportunities arise and disappear in the blink of an eye. Those who cling to the old ways get left behind, but those who harness innovation become unstoppable. Look at history's greatest wealth creators. They weren't just smart. They were pioneers, disruptors, visionaries who used technology as a force multiplier.
Bill Gates saw the software revolution coming. Jeff Bezos bet everything on the internet. Elon Musk pushed electric cars and rockets beyond what anyone imagined. Their secret: they studied trends, they invested early, they adapted constantly. They don't wait for permission to innovate, they create their own rules. And here's the critical insight for you. You don't need to invent the next big thing to win. You need to master the tools already in your hands. Leverage automation to scale. Use data to make smarter decisions. Harness social media to build influence. Tap into online platforms to reach global markets. The millionaire mindset is a mindset of curiosity and adaptability. Ask yourself, what new technology can multiply my impact? What tools can free my time? What innovations can open new streams of income? Become a student of the future. Anticipate shifts before they happen, and position yourself at the forefront. Because wealth rewards those who innovate, not those who stagnate. Embrace technology, harness innovation, create the future on your own terms.